Time. So, greetings from India, and especially I'm working in the Christian Medical College, Vellore. Little background about that place. It's a 3,500 bedded hospital. It's a very large hospital. We see about 10,000 patients. People ask, "Is that your annual statistics?" I say that's a single day statistics. On one day, we have 10,000 patients coming to the hospital. One of my friend who was working there, he said, how's life at Vellore? He says, we are managing an epidemic with a smile. So patients come, and when I'm in Colombo, I am enjoying some rest over here. Otherwise, over there, you are busy. So I hope you can see my slide. Is the top one? Top one. Okay, it's moving. So ours is a 125-year-old hospital. I had mentioned it yesterday. Started by Dr. Ida Scudder. It's got a very interesting story. I will not go into that. So, as doctors, we always give the bad news. So we'll start with the bad news first, to know what is the bad news about disease. So when you look at this slide, I had shown it in yesterday also, the number of deaths per year because of heart disease is about 17.9 million, about 18 million. So if you look at it, the common causes of death, if you put everything together, what causes heart disease? There are basically three things. Number one is your diet. Number two is the exercise, and number three is addictions, either to smoking or to alcohol, right? So diet, exercise, or addictions. Now maybe addictions may not be our issues, but our issues are diet and exercise. This is the major cause. Now you may say heart disease, doctors would make it very complicated, family, genetics and all those things, but at the bottom line of it, it's the diet, exercise and addictions. Now look at what is the statistics in Sri Lanka. Is almost similar to the global statistics. All over the world it's about 44%, in Sri Lanka it's 40% people who die because of heart disease and 10% who die because of cancer. And I'm sure many of you would be familiar, somebody in the family or relative or neighborhood would be having this issue. So if you really want to understand what it means is, every 4 seconds, one person dies of heart disease. Just count 4, 1% dead because of heart. Count 5, 1% dead because of stroke. It is as common as this. What is the cause? Very simple logic. Your heart, which is supplied by a artery, if it is blocked, you don't get blood to the heart, you get a heart attack. What blocks it? It is the fat that gets deposited in the heart. And what are the foods that is high in fats? I'm sure by this time it's a very common knowledge. What are the foods that really blocks high in fat, which blocks our heart? This is the transition. Our TVs were fat. People didn't have much food, they were thin. Now we have a lot of food, we have become fat. Our TVs, interestingly, has become thin. Right. If you now, when you look into this data statistics, this is all the data put all over the world in something what we call it as a global burden of disease. You look, the number one risk factor for heart disease is diet, and tobacco, alcohol being second and third. The second is the exercise. So you see, it is all in our statistics. Now your question will be, what in the diet is so bad that causes heart disease? Number one is increased salt, increased sodium. So when you like eating very salty things, most of these are very tasty. I mean, watch the TV and your hand keeps going to the packet and into your mouth. So high sodium, and then you have a list of things that we do not take, that we should take. What are those? Nuts and seeds, whole grains, omega-3 fatty acid, vegetables and fruits. All these are the list of diet, and then comes your physical activity. So let's look at it from the biblical point of view. And God said, "Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed, to you it will be for meat." So the first diet given to us was grains and fruits. I would presume at that time, do you think there were mixies and all, or food processors? Most probably not. So people ate fruit as it was. They ate grains as it was. Right? Why I'm saying that? That is really the cause of our disease today. What is the cause? We have started processing our food. And that is the cause. If you were able to take it as it was in nature, we really didn't have a problem. So then the sin came, and after the sin, what happened is, this was the third diet that was introduced. Genesis 3:18 says, "It will produce thorns and thistles for you, and you will eat the plants of the fields." Grains and fruits were the original diet. After fall, plants was given, and we know that plants have medicinal values. So grains, fruits and vegetables became the part of our diet. And then the flood came, and we all know the story of flood. And so after the flood, what we find is everything that lives and moves will be food for you. Just as I gave you the green plants, I now give you everything, but you must not eat meat that has live blood still in it. So this was the first time that an animal-based diet was introduced. I mean, just think about it. It's so very interesting to see that from grains and fruits, vegetables were added because of sin, and meat after the flood. And one may wonder why that was added. But then you look at the statistics. Bible quiz: who was the longest living man? Many of you will say Methuselah 969. But then look at how the age started falling down after the flood. And that tells us what was the reason why the age fell down. Abraham was 175. 175 is still very long. Hardly anybody today would live that long. Joseph was 110. They were still in hundreds. These days hardly anybody touches 100. So we talk about God's perfect will, and we also talk about God's permissive will. The classical example is of Balaam and Balak. God said, "No, you will not curse the Israelites." And when he persisted again, he says, "Okay, go, but you will still not curse him." So sometimes we stubbornly try to push for something. God gives you a little permission, but that is permissible. That is not God's perfect will. What does the spirit of prophecy says? Worldly physicians cannot account for the rapid increase of diseases among the human family, but we know that much of this suffering is caused by the eating of dead flesh. Pretty explicit, the pen of inspiration tells us. Look at the last. By the use of flesh meats, the animal nature is strengthened and the spiritual nature is weakened. When our minds are not able to discern things properly, we choose things which is not good for our body, right? And when we choose those things, our mind further gets clouded and we are not able to think rightly. That's the effect of alcohol. When you take alcohol, it affects the part of your brain and it affects your decision making, right? So some foods affect our decision making, and our decision making affects the choices of food. It's a kind of a vicious cycle that we see. So if you look at it scientifically, many of you would be familiar with something called blue zones. This is Dr. Dan Buettner is a journalist, National Geographic, was trying to find out where do people live the longest. And of the many places in Italy and Japan, he found out the Seventh-day Adventists in Loma Linda, there were many centenarians over there. And he tried to find out what is the reason why they live long. And this is a part of the Adventist health study which says that if your weight is lean, you get 3 to 4 additional years as compared to someone else who does not have. Somebody who does moderate exercises, 3 to 4 years added on. Even if you take fruits and vegetables, you have got about 4 to 5 years. And in the modern medicine, where many of you would have heard your doctor saying that diabetes, high blood pressures are not curable. You have to take the medicines for long. Now that is changing. Now our studies are showing that if you strictly follow lifestyle, you can actually stop your medicines and your sugars will be normal. We use a word called diabetes remission. That means your sugars are normal and you don't need to take any medicines. Now, this is something that Dr. Dean Ornish in 1990 showed, that if you actually follow a whole food plant-based diet, your blocked arteries can be opened up. Most of the cardiologists may not agree, may not even offer you. Block is there, just put in a stent, 2 to 3 lakhs rupees that you have to spend for that. So, food as it is in nature compared to what man does is what we are looking at. So I will just put a quick thing about what is healthy about food. What is healthy food? I've divided the food or classified it under different headings. Carbohydrates, that gives us energy. Proteins, that helps us in our growth. Fats are something that you need for essential fatty acids. Vitamins and minerals, which are found in fruits and vegetables, protects us against a lot of infections, and water is there as a universal thing. So the question is what to eat, in which form, and how much to eat. And so this is what we call as a food pyramid. What is it that we need to take in the maximum amount is on the bottom, your fruits and vegetables. What is the next food that should be taken is the cereals or carbohydrate. After that is proteins, and what you should take in the minimum amount are the fats. And so typically your diet should look like this on your right side or on your left side. The plate should have, if you look at this, the plate should be 1/4 vegetables, 1/4 fruits, 1/4 grains, and 1/4 legumes. Look at your plate. If you eat 4 idlis, it's only carbohydrates. If you take a half plate is rice, that is typically how we eat. We are eating much more than what our body needs. So if you look at grains, there's so many grains that you can take. That is what we should take most of the days, because that gives you energy. And what you should not do to the food is do not refine it. So you have rolled oats, don't refine it and make it white oats. You have got red rice, you have black rice. When you polish it, it becomes white rice. Most of our food are white rice. It is polished. It takes away the health benefit. Second is do not process it. Processing is when you reduce the size of the grain. You look at your rice, you may take broken rice, or you may mill the rice or grind it and make it a paste. The more you process it, the health benefits keeps going down. You look at the wheat, you have broken wheat, you have wheat flour, and if you polish the wheat and grind it, we get maida. Most of the food that you eat is maida based, and all of us, we like eating that. When you look at proteins, you have 2 sources, either from the plants, all the pulses are there, or from the animal proteins. What is the difference between both of them? In the plant proteins, these are high in fibers, and it is high in phytochemicals and antioxidants. This is basically which protects our body, right? When you look at the animal proteins, there is no fibers, 0 fibers, there is no phytochemicals which protects our body. So you may be getting protein in a high amount, but does not have fibers, does not have any protections, and they are very high in saturated fats. Look at these pulses. I'm sure you may not be knowing many of those pulses. Tell me what are the colors of the pulses, the combinations, the hue. God in His romanticism made things such that people will be attracted, but unfortunately doesn't really attract us. So this is what I say, buy one, get one free. That's the usual buzzwords. Buy protein, I need proteins, I'm going to gym, I need lots of proteins. Even the elephant needs huge, he needs proteins, he eats grasses, but he's still big. when did you get an idea that only eating a lot of proteins will make my muscles bulky? You take that protein from an animal source, you get protein, no doubt, you get fat free. The choice is yours. And when you look at, this is a biochemistry class talking about so many terminologies, just remember two things: saturated fats, unsaturated fats. Unfortunately, you go into the marketplace, pick up a product and read the food label, you need to know some nomenclatures, what to read, what is good for me. So what you have to read is saturated fat is unhealthy, unsaturated fat is healthy. So look at the label. Does it have high amount of saturated? Not good for you, right? Second thing you have to look into is it trans fatty acid or cis fatty acids? These two terminologies you have to know, because you are going to eat these foods. You need to know what is going into your system, right? So if you look at these diagrams, you can see which oil is good for us. The red is saturated. More saturated, bad for you. Less saturated, good for you. The blue is what is showing unsaturated. And the yellow is the best, that is monounsaturated. So the more yellow you see in two oils, canola and olive oil, these are good for us, right, as compared to the others. Trans and cis is basically the chemical structure of the fatty acid. All that you have to remember is trans fatty acid is bad for our health. Recommendation is there should be 0 trans fatty acid in your diet. The question is, how does this trans fatty acid comes? By two processes, we call it as hydrogenation and heating. If you don't understand hydrogenation, this is when you put the hydrogen through the oil. What it does, it converts the liquid oil to a solid oil. Most of you know the solid oil, right? Butter, cheese, ghee, all these are solid oils. Solid oils are one which is hydrogenated, and that has got trans fatty acid, which as per recommendation should be 0. So all the samosas, all the chips, all the things. That's why I said I started off with bad news. Basically, you'll ask me, if you don't eat all these things, what is left to eat? So this is what happens as you hydrogenate. The second thing is heating. Most of our traditional cooking is put the pan, heat it, put the oil. Then all the spices and the rest of the come. When you heat the oil, you're converting it from cis to trans. Again, that is bad. So second is the fruits and vegetables. As many colors, the better for you. All these are different phytochemicals which protects a body against various diseases, infections on one side and cancers on the other side, right? So if you're really looking at a summary of what is a healthy diet for me, traditionally people have eaten twice, 2 times. You go to your villages, ask the people, morning they have one meal, evening they have second meal, that's all. But we in the cities, we can afford good food. We eat 3 major meals, maybe 2 snacks, about 5 meals for the desk work job that we sit in our wheelchairs and we sleep. So 2 meals a day, avoid in between meals, avoid snacks and fast food, chew your food wells, don't take water immediately, other things. So this is my prescription to my patients. Have 3 fruits in the morning before breakfast, have 3 cups of salads before your lunch, have some 6 to 8 pieces of nuts in the evening, and all your grains should be whole grains, oats, millets, broken wheat. Have at least twice pulses, have at least twice vegetables, go after walking after every meal. If you just follow this simple rule, most of my diabetic patients, we have been able to reduce the medicines or even stop the medicines. Brief word about exercise. We know about exercise that we should do walking, aerobics. Just one word on this. Strength training is important, which many people don't know that we need to do a strength training. So, do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own, you are bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your bodies. And finally, So whatever you eat or drink or whatever you do everything for the glory of God. And let food be your medicine. So may God bless us as we think about these things. We have instructions from the Bible, we have instructions from the spirit of prophecy, and now science is catching up with all these information that God has given up. If we still want to stubbornly hold on to what we do, diseases may come, you will go through a lot of sufferings. We do not want any one of you to suffer. Rather, you should be ambassador of this health message to the rest of the world who do not have this message. May God bless each one of you.